Good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. And this portion of the show is supported by Native Concrete and Masonry. Check out their work at nativeconcretemasonry.com and give Chuck a call at 612-597-0421.
It's awesome to be able to support Native businesses, and they support us too. Native Concrete. Chuck does a great job and has been around a long time. And when we interviewed Chuck, his father was a concrete person too. So it's a generation. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a very big Native thing for us to do. Right
on. Speaking of kind of cool, we have Robert Lilligren here, Native American Community Development Institute CEO, and we are really glad to see you, and we're glad to see you in your house there, cooled down after today. I don't know, am I old or was it hot today?
I think a little of both there, Robert. No, I overdid it a little in the heat today, too. So I had it is nice to be inside. It was great to see both you, Robert, and Haley at the big event today. And I thought that was just wonderful.
It was a huge event, Robert, and we're talking about Native American Community Development Institute's open house because it got rained out, and also going at the same time as the Four Sisters Market. And let me tell you something, Robert. I didn't tell you this when I talked to you later, but I ran into so many people, and not just natives. We had the captain of the transit police that's been on the show. He was there, and we had some people from the Walker. Yes, thank you. And we had the people from the Walker that have been on the show and that have supported us. And I mean, it's crazy.
It was crazy. We had the elected sheriff of Hennepin County, our county, which is the largest in the state, right? It's a third of the state's population. And Sheriff Witt was there, and it was great to see her. And the Walker folks, I didn't know you had a relationship with those guys. Yeah. At NACDI and All My Relations Arts, we've really been building a satisfying reciprocal relationship with the Walker Art Center, which is sort of the premier art museum here in Minneapolis.
Well, you know, we've been kind of riding on your coattails because we when we had that famous guy from Reservation Dogs there, they reached out and we promoted that and got a ticket. And then, nice. But I didn't get invited to the late night dinner. But
it was ever so smart and select. Sorry you didn't quite make that one. Yeah, Sterling Harjo was there. And I was talking to the Walker folks about that and just how much positive feedback I heard in the community about that lecture, the talk that Sterling Harjo did here, you know, one of the creators of Reservation Dogs. And people just gathered a lot of really practical guidance, advice, and membership from what was a totally entertaining lecture.
Yeah. And our friend Bobby Wilson, who I know as a student at where I taught, but he was rarely there. But just the connection that Sterling and the 1491s, which means the Reservation Dogs, have here in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities.
Yeah, that was great. And it's so interesting to watch those careers that kind of incubated through the 1491s, local people like Bobby Wilson, and just watch their careers grow. And every time I see their name in the credits or see them on camera, it's like, oh my God, I actually know that guy. Mm-hmm. It's really thrilling.
Well, you know, it's interesting too. And Haley and I have been able to really get to know Native American Community Development Institute in the last year, especially, and how fostering that is to do something like that, to have young people and people learn their skill through you and through your organization, and then not always move on, but sometimes move on, but also do great things in the community.
Yeah, and that's so baked into our mission at NACDI, Native American Community Development Institute, is that kind of professional support, especially developing Native professionals, and pretty much everybody has gone on to a brilliant career, some of them on the national and international stages as well. And it's at this point in my life, with all these gray hairs you can see in my beard, it's thrilling to watch that. And it's very, very satisfying to see these young Native professionals. And, NACDI, we're fundamentally a systems change organization. We do asset-based community development, and we also we really focus on this capacity building, right, at the individual level, the staff level, the community level, and we ground ourselves authentically in community through our major projects and programs like All My Relations Arts, which is a now internationally known contemporary Native arts gallery. We have our Four Sisters Food Sovereignty. We have a Farm and a Market, which you were at today, and then through Make Voting a Tradition, which is year-round civic engagement across the generations with Native people. And so we stay authentically grounded, and then we work in the systems around policy, boardrooms, engaging with non-Native and sometimes Native institutions to improve the way that they engage with the Native community.
So I've never asked you this, but what was Native American Community Development Institute like before? Well, I think you were a board member first and then became CEO. What was it like? Was it still like that, or was it plateaued at how many people you had worked there? And then since you've come along, it's really blown up. And it's hard to or difficult to talk about yourself. I know that, but it's an interesting question I have, because I really think that it's so embedded in the community, but I don't think it was always that way.
Well, it kind of was. It's just growing exponentially through the years. And our first CEO was Justin Heineman, and he really built the organization. We actually emerged from our county here, Hennepin County, after a study called the American Indian Families Project, which cataloged all of the stuff that we know, the disparities and things. But it also leaned towards the assets, and which are our people, our culture, things like that. And one of the recommendations was that we needed an asset-based community development agency in this community. And so our county, Hennepin County, detailed Justin Heineman to be the CEO. They funded him for 2 years. They funded our operations for the first 2 years. And then they said, then we're done, right? You need to be sustaining. And so Justin Heineman, to his credit, went out and engaged with people, assembled a board. I was one of the board members. I was on the Minneapolis City Council at the time, and I was the chair of the board for the first maybe 8 years before I left to take the CEO position, and really went to people in the community, engaged them, put together a significant vision document called the American Indian Community Blueprint, and that's been our marching orders. We're on the verge of going out for a refresh of that now. So it started really embedding in community, but as our capacity grew and our resources grew, it's really grown. And it when we were first founded, Robert, I mean, to your question, the idea of asset-based community development was very new in the Native community. So much of our organizational infrastructure is service-based, which we need. We have a lot of needs in our community, and we have a lot of assets. And so going out and engaging the community is always an opportunity to popularize this idea of asset-based community development. Now, a generation later or whatever, 14 years later, you can really see it's taken root, and a lot of us come together in an asset-based way. And it's been very rewarding to see and to be part of it.
We're here with Robert Lilligren, President and CEO of Native American Community Development Institute here in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. We'll be right back after this short break.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The Powderhorn Art Fair is celebrating 33 years of community and local art on the weekend of August 3rd and 4th. This year's event will be the biggest yet, with a record number of artists and vendors. Over 190 local and regional artists will exhibit their work, offering diverse art from clay and digital art to jewelry and woodwork. Floral and garden vendors will bring extravagant bouquets and blooming artistry to the park. And the Powderhorn Art Fair will highlight local businesses, arts nonprofits, and eco-conscious upcycle artists. Whether you're an art enthusiast or a casual buyer, there's something for everyone. Plus, enjoy sweet and savory treats from more than 20 food trucks. There's the kid-friendly family zone, packed with creative activities. And don't miss the on-site DJ providing vibrant sounds throughout the weekend. The Powderhorn Art Fair is free to the public, with proceeds supporting PPNA community initiatives. Make plans to head to the Powderhorn Art Fair on Saturday and Sunday, August 3rd and 4th from 10 to 5 at Powderhorn Park in Minneapolis. More at powderhornartfair.com.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACDI, in Minneapolis.
Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, President and CEO of Native American Community Development Institute here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And Robert, do you mind if we go back to today? Because, again, I want to talk a little bit about you fed the community. There was hundreds and hundreds of people, easily hundreds and hundreds of people that were there. And it was the most impressive gathering I've seen in a long time.
Thanks. And we're just thrilled. And to note, it was an open house with our partners, American Indian Community Development Corporation and Kapawa Grounds Coffee Shop, which helps. And as you pointed out, it was rained out in May, which is American Indian Month here in Minnesota. And in the cities, pretty much all the Native orgs do some level of open house. And it was a very rainy season. So we got rained out and decided to reschedule it for now. And it was so successful. I think we'll probably discuss maybe making that a regular thing. We co-located it with our Four Sisters Farmers Market, which created great synergy. I think I'll get the numbers probably tomorrow, but I think our vendors had record days.
Yeah.
Because so many people were attending, and then feeding people. I think there was probably 700 people in attendance, but not everyone was eating, I think, because of the heat, but we fed 550 people. And these are 550 people from across the spectrum of the community, and non-Native people. But because of where we're located on the American Indian Cultural Corridor, we have a lot of our relatives who are living without shelter in the area. And, we've had that. They were welcome and participating. And in fact, one of my staff fellow coworkers who was helping with the food throughout the entire service said, yeah, it was interesting. Our unsheltered relatives were actually nicer and more polite than some of our sheltered relatives who were attending. And so it's a place where community can come together. And for me, that's everything.
It was everything. And I know, I don't know, I heard a report, Haley, wasn't there like 185 pounds of beef being cooked? Isn't that what I heard yesterday?
That's what I heard. Yep, Bob Rice was cooking up a lot of beef.
I love it. I had heard that stat, so thank you for sharing that, Haley. And also, so Bob Rice is the owner, proprietor of Powell Grounds Coffee Shop. He now has a food truck as well, and he does catering now. His business has just been taken off, and so he fed us fry bread tacos. And of course, it's always dangerous to say someone makes the best fry bread in the community, but his is dang good.
Well, let me say something about Bob. And I've been to, of course, I go to these, I don't want to say parties, but get-togethers or galas, and they have food there. And I go, well, who made this food? And many times it's been Bob, and I'm going, wow, he's diversified his menu. And, it's not just fry bread. There's been healthy things, too, that he does. And I've been pleasantly surprised. And, I like free meals, Robert.
Oh, I know you do. Yeah, so it's been great to support Bob's business. Powell Grounds Coffee Shop is in the building that we office in and that we co-own with the American Indian Community Development Corporation. And it's also where our All My Relations Arts Gallery is housed. It's a little tiny bright yellow building for those of you who have been on the American Indian Cultural Corridor, but it's really an active hub in the community.
Yeah. Again, I was just so happy to run into people that I hadn't seen or I see in a different venue that were there. Sure. And I know here at Native Roots Radio, we talk a lot about the Four Sisters, and hopefully we're helping getting people out there. But I was totally shocked that I was running into people that, weren't Native, that were there and enjoying themselves in a really good way.
Yeah, good allies, right? And it was interesting. My day started doing some planning around a subcommittee we have in the community here through the Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors that addresses issues at the intersection of unsheltered homelessness and opioid use. I chair this group, and I've been chairing it for 4 years, 5 years, as long as it's been around. And one of the pieces of work that we're doing is describing how to be a good ally to the community. And so today we gathered a bunch of community thinking on Wednesday, and then today this planning group of about 15 came together, and we were kind of categorizing them. Are they actions? Are they characteristics? Are they about being present? And one of the big things that we lifted up is to be a good ally. Come to us. Come to our spaces. Come to our events. Don't expect us to go to yours. You come first. You come to our spaces first, and through doing that consistently, you'll start to build relationship. You'll start to build trust. And Native people can be challenging to engage with because we're not necessarily big institutional players, right? We actually feel like we've been harmed from a lot of government or even private sector institutions. And so building that reciprocity and that trust is major. And so when you see people like that group from the Walker Arts Center, major arts institution that has done some very offensive things to our community, that whose wealth is founded on stealing Native land and Native wealth and removing Native people. And so for them to be coming to our events like this, there's senior executives and things, that matters.
Yeah. You know what you just said there? I was thinking, and I kind of got a little emotional. That in a real way is what's happened to me in the community.
Cool.
And you know what I mean? Where we've showed up, people reach out when you're there. I mean, what you explained there was pretty fascinating for me in my own personal growth.
Thanks. I'm glad it relates. And people come to NACDI a lot because we play this intermediary role in the community. And they're like, we're trying to get Native people involved in our stuff. And, we used to hear this all the time, or I still do. They'd say, we got some Native people into our meeting or our venue, and they were really polite, and they smiled and nodded, but then they never came back. It's like, yep, that's what Native people do. I say, smiling and nodding, I said, they won't tell you that your space isn't comfortable for them or safe for them, but they'll behave that way. And so this building, this reciprocity is incredible. And to stick with it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in one event or one meeting. It takes
time.
Doesn't. It takes commitment.
Well, and I've only been around 10 years. I found my birth mother, and my whole story. But people, because I do show up, think I've been around forever.
Yeah. I'm surprised that it's 10 years. So, yeah, it does seem like a longer time than that. And
well, that could be good or bad. I do rub people the wrong way.
Right. I could cite example after example of either individuals or organizations that we're working to engage the community that we've helped, and those who stick with it, right? Those who sustain the effort, those who just keep coming. Often they'll feel very unwelcome, or sometimes even that there's hostility towards them, which there is in times. And they're like, oh, what did I do wrong? What do I do? What do I do? It's like, just keep coming. Just keep coming. The other big advice I often give people looking to engage Native communities more is have Native people speak first.
Yes.
If you're in a group, if you're in a room, you don't need to shoot a bunch of data at people. Just invite Native people to speak first. And I got to tell you, Robert, that has profound impact on a process and on an outcome. And it's learning for the non-Native PR partners as well. You don't know best, right? Just create the space for Native people to express their interest, express their needs, and things will happen.
Yeah, ditto. I have experienced that too in my own journey here, and appreciative. It's kind of scary though too on the other side of that too.
Right, and I think it's very scary for sort of the non-Native world, and that's another thing we discussed during our planning today on how to be a good ally is how to make space so that the non-Native people, often descendants of the colonizers, right, how they can feel feel the, I don't want to say feel the pain, but that they can feel the emotion and the history. And, because they're on the privileged side, the winning side or whatever, they don't necessarily have to deal with the trauma of colonization. They don't have to deal with it. It's just the way it is to them, right? We deal with it every single day. It's not historical trauma. It's today's trauma, right?
Absolutely.
And so to make sure that there's an awareness and a safe enough space that non-Native people can deal with their own legacy of contribution to colonization and genocide. Not an easy thing to do, but a necessary thing to do.
Hey, we got a minute left, and we didn't talk about my Uncle Joe Biden, but I just want to say I'm voting blue no matter who, and elders are very important to our community, and I just want to say that to you, Robert. And I know you got a minute here. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, well, you hear that riding with Biden. I'm riding with Biden, but is there are there other ones? And all of a sudden, I can't think of the funny ones that I've heard lately. There's maybe like going far with Klobuchar and prepare us for Harris.
Wow.
I think we have to have a conversation, right? We have to.
Definitely.
And I'm sort of feeling it from the sort of national party leaders, but I feel like it needs to be real, the conversation at least.
Hey, we got to come up with one for me when I run here in a few months, and something with Pilot. But thank you so much, Robert Lilligren, and great job. Your crew, all those yellow shirts running around did such a great job today.
Great. No, thank you. And thanks for coming today, Haley and Robert.
Hey, we'll be right back with Jessica Hanson, State Representative. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl. J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Dive into a world where tradition meets innovation, satire meets symbolism, and Native American art takes center stage. All My Relations Arts and the Native American Community Development Institute proudly unveil Alter Native by Frank Buffalo Hyde. Alter Native is an electrifying exhibition that uses satire to push boundaries and demand a closer look at the vibrant complexities of Native identity in today's world. So embrace the unexpected and challenge norms with Alter Native by Frank Buffalo Hyde, showing now at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
Bonjour, hello. My name is Wabin. I am an enrolled member of the White Earth Nation, descendant of the Navajo Nation, and co-chair of the Indigenous Employee Resource Group with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. MnDOT is hiring for a variety of positions from road maintenance to accounting and more. We offer great benefits. For more information or to set up a one-on-one resume and application assistance, visit mn.gov/careers, or you can text or call 612-257-2388. 612-257-2388.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Imagine over 7,000 voices from around the globe coming together in harmony in Minneapolis. This summer, Gala Courses Festival 2024 comes to Minnesota. It's the world's largest LGBTQ+ singing event. From July 10th to 14th, Minneapolis will be transformed into a vibrant city of song. Join 122 courses from places as far as China, Estonia, Finland, Ukraine, and Taiwan for 5 unforgettable days of wall-to-wall concerts, workshops, and social events. Revel in the joy and pride of this extraordinary festival at world-class venues like Orchestra Hall, the Minneapolis Convention Center, and Central Lutheran Church. The last festival in 2016 united over 6,000 singers, and this year's promises to be even bigger. Feel the energy in person by purchasing tickets at galacourses.org or stream every performance live and on demand at galacourses.org. Celebrate love, diversity, and the power of music at Gala Courses Festival 2024, where every voice matters. That's July 10th through the 14th in downtown Minneapolis.
Hi, Matt McNeil here. I've had people ask if my son Charlie took our RAV4 from Rudy Luther Toyota on a cross-country road trip, and indeed he did. He headed west and saw the national parks of South Dakota, Montana, Utah, California, Arizona, Colorado, and then back home. He drove 5,000 miles. The RAV4 performed great, and he had a fantastic time. Not only was the RAV4 great on long highway stretches, but it easily handled the back roads too. And with the RAV4 Hybrid, the fuel efficiency was incredible, saving him a ton. Test drive the RAV4 today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 67, then Friday, sunshine with a high of 86. While Maverick's Real Roast Beef is famous for their namesake sandwiches, there's so much more. Don't miss out on delectable options like crispy chicken, fish, brisket, and Philly steak. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. MavericksBeef.com.
Anine, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native-owned J.S. Bean Factory in St. Paul. Only the good stuff keeps us awake.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and of course, I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We are here with State Representative Jessica Hanson, and we haven't talked in a long time, and it's really, really good to have you back on, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me, Robert.
So we got elections coming up, and I know you have an election. Let's talk a little bit about that and what you need and how we can help you and what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm running for my 3rd term. I was elected during the pandemic, and so it's been really important to get my face out there and get my name out there. I've passed a lot of bills, done a lot of great work for my community, and I want to keep doing it some more. So this year, I'm really looking to raise as much money as we can to really make sure we're out there on the doors. We are already ahead. We have knocked I don't know exactly how many doors my opponent has knocked, but I know we've knocked more. So we're approaching 8,000 doors that we've already hit this year with my team, and we're just going to keep running through the tape on this one. I have my door knocks are posted on all my social media. It's Jess Hanson for House on Facebook, Jess Hanson MN on Twitter and Instagram. And those are 4 days a week. I'm out more often than that, but folks are always invited to join. My biggest thing that I've worked on over the last couple of years is working on issues for people with disabilities, working on our child protection system to make sure we have a better system that looks a lot less like boarding schools than it has for the past, 50, 60 years, making sure we're prioritizing family preservation. And then also making sure that we're really being a responsible government. And that means protecting sovereignty, making sure our tribes have a voice at the table when we're working on issues that affect them, like poverty, economic development, and things like that. I know for too many years, and I've seen it myself, that so many tribal leaders have been left out of conversations. So making sure that I personally and several others in the legislature intentionally have open doors and good relationships with folks, that's been the most important. So folks can definitely come out and door knock with me, can donate. We do $5 Fridays every week. That's always an easy way to donate. But we have a lot on the line, and so it's exciting.
Yeah, well, and one of the exciting things, too, that we talk about a lot, and that Minnesota is like a beacon of hope to a lot of states, and all the things that you guys got done these past 2 years has been amazing.
Mm-hmm. I think what it says is that it is very clear that there is one party that is fit to lead in this country, and especially in this state, and one party that is fit to complain and whine. And we have to be really sincere about what we're doing in state government, because politics is how we care about each other, and we deserve a responsible government. We cannot take care of each other when we have an opponent or someone on the other side of the aisle who doesn't even see our humanity. And that has become abundantly clear with the platform that they're pushing, with the talking points that folks are saying. And I just think Minnesotans deserve better. I've been a Minnesotan my entire life. I'm raising my kids and family here. I come from generations before me who were raised here. And what I know about being a Minnesotan is taking care of each other, being kind to each other. Doesn't matter who, what stickers on the back of someone's car. If they're stuck in the snow, we're going to help them out. And that's the kind of politics that I hope to keep doing.
Yeah, I know. It's an amazing thing that, especially when the Senate was Republican, that it seemed like the other side was not for anything, and where the Democrats are moving in the state to make bills fairly and equitably, and so I agree 100%, and it's just exciting for us here to amplify what you guys have been doing and how we can help, preserve the union.
Yeah, at this point, that's really what's on the line. I mean, we have to defend all of the great work that we did. And you're right. There's definitely my opponents and people on the other side of the aisle have a lot that they're against, but we have a lot that we're for. And so I hope that as people are talking to people who are running for office, asking them, what are you for? How are you going to invest in my community and my neighborhood or what my family needs? Because I promise you, they'll just say, this is what they're doing wrong, and they did this and they did that, and having very little of a vision and a platform for themselves.
Well, what's bizarre to me is that even nationally, but locally too, it's like the Republicans will be against something, and then once the bill is passed, and they all of a sudden take credit for it, and it's just totally upside down world.
Yeah, we see that in a lot of places. When we look at that, insulin has been capped at $35. Medicare Advantage eligible Medicare eligible folks have their medications capped at $2,000. The best economy, the lowest unemployment rate, that's because of Democrats. And it's not necessarily just Democrats in Washington, D.C. We know that President Biden has had a lot to do with that. But as far as Congress goes, this is the least functional Congress in the history of the country ever, versus what we're doing here in Minnesota, and we are changing lives for generations. I can say that when I started, we weren't necessarily, as a culture, thinking about how our decisions affect 7 generations forward as we should be as an institution, and that's shifting. You're seeing more people think about, what am I going to do for my great-grandkids? How is this bridge or this infrastructure or this school funding going to really help? And that's what we're seeing a lot of. We have to remember, our kids will never know a world without paid family medical leave. They'll always be able to take time off to care for themselves or their loved ones when they're sick, earn sick and save time, protecting their right to have a conversation with their doctor without politicians in the room. A world with legal cannabis where prohibition is not exercising the white supremacy that it's historically exercised across our country. our kids will never know a world where those are there. We have to defend those things with everything we've got and then do more. We have more infrastructure to invest in. We have more communities that have not gotten the funding because their representatives have not advocated for them. And you find that there's representatives like myself and others who we will advocate for communities that we don't represent because their representatives don't. And that's a reality. You have to look at what these people are fighting for, and politicians have to be held accountable to that.
That's amazing, too. And we'll touch a little bit on the federal government, but we talk about how our local government is like the last line of resistance.
Yeah, we are the last line of defense, and it's important to know and remember what our history says. Minnesotans are good at standing there and holding that line on that, but we have to do that in this election. We know what's up at stake at the presidential level. You know, we have a felon and a rapist versus a man who's older and had a different night on debate night. But for me, the choice is clear. You know, I'll be voting for Joe Biden and supporting him because there is no way that I will let my children have to live through another Trump presidency.
Well, and then you were a state representative during that. How was that? I mean, it was definitely the upside down world, and I know we have a short memory, and natives have to remember that the second day that Trump was president, he signed a bill to keep the Dakota Access Pipeline going, and it was just like amazing. It was the second day.
And he has a very clear plan. I mean, the manifesto for Project 2025 is there. And I've been encouraging folks to check out Democracy Forward's response to the Project 2025 manifesto, really clear policy decisions that we can make to defend ourselves against that and how we can do more. You know, a lot of these Supreme Court cases that are coming out with Chevron being overturned, we now know that corporations have more control than our state agencies, which is terrifying. We know that our state agencies have been really great at being experts in their field. And I come from a world in social work where we believe that you should operate in your lane of competency. Politicians are great at some things, but not great at knowing everything about all things. It's really important we have good relationships with our state agencies and hold them accountable and have good oversight. You know, here in Minnesota, as a part-time legislature, that is difficult to have all the time in the world because we're busy passing laws during session. But we have a great auditor who has helped us to see where we need to continue to do oversight and have these programs. We passed really great oversight laws last year to make sure that we are watching where grant money goes and all of that. And so you're going to hear a lot of hyperbole out there about, you know, oversight or this or that. And again, back to my other point, it's what they're against and not what they're for. And so finding what we can really ground ourselves in as people, as Minnesotans. Like I said before, I think being a Minnesotan means taking care of your neighbor and being kind to each other. It means helping each other out. It means being responsible. It means thinking forward for the world we're creating for our kids. And it means being a water protector. Chevron overturning is like a huge, huge risk to our water. And none of us get anywhere if we do not have access to good water and protect all of that. We are stewards of the largest freshwater reserves in the world. And so as Minnesotans, we have to defend that. And if water's not something worth defending to someone, I don't know what else is.
So I got 1 minute left here. Let's get how people can support you and your great work and the websites and Facebook. And it sounds like you have a $5 Fun Friday.
Yes, I do. So my website is Jess Hanson for House, all spelled out. Hanson is S-O-N, the right way, as I would say. So JessHansonForHouse.com. My Facebook is Jess Hanson for House, and my Instagram and Twitter are Jess Hanson MN, like Minnesota. So definitely chip in there. If you'd like to come out for a door knock, first time, you've done it 100 times. We train everybody. We help you learn how to do this. We find that there's a lot of people who find advocacy as a way to fight back and to channel your righteous anger at the state of politics in this country. I'm a very dynamic candidate. I promise you'll have fun with me. And I really hope that I can earn enough support in my community and from folks in the surrounding area who think my politics are the way to go. And I'd love to get elected again.
Well, thank you, State Representative Jessica Hanson.
Thank you so much, Robert.
We'll be right back after this short break. This is
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Looking for a good time? Step into the vibrant world of Roxy's Cabaret, Minneapolis' premier entertainment destination, where drag queens reign supreme and laughter fills the air. From dazzling drag shows and lively brunches to classic movie screenings, karaoke nights, and game nights. Roxy's Cabaret offers a diverse array of events that cater to every taste and preference. Visit Roxy's Cabaret at 1333 Nicollet Mall in Minneapolis, which is also the home of the Nicollet Diner and On the Rocks. Check them out at roxyscabaret.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. And here's Wendy with the new sacred animals.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Haley. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanajihi. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dager, Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. On Facebook, I see a lot of posts about lost dogs. People posting pictures of their dogs. Here was one I just want to talk about. There was a dog in our St. Paul neighborhood area that was missing. So this dog's name was Tesla, and it was lost on June 21st, 2024. And it said, Tesla, a 10-year-old Greyhound mix, went missing in St. Paul, Minnesota on June 21st, 2024. And it has a description. She's 30 to 40 pounds, brindle, brown, and black, has no collar. She was last seen in the area of Summit and Cleveland. Those are streets in our area. She is unfamiliar with the area. Do not call out to her, whistle, chase, or try to catch her. We need her to stay in one place. If you see her, please take a photo and call with information as soon as possible, and then it's the phone number. I'm happy to say that she was found on July 7th. So that's a long time for a dog to be missing. And it says that she wasn't found. She was captured. So maybe they had to put out some type of trap or something like that. But I do see, a lot of people who say, don't call out to her, don't whistle, don't chase, or try to catch her, because the dog's just going to run further, right? That's what's going to happen. So when I see these posts on Facebook, or I see a post in our neighborhood on a lamp post, I take a picture of it so that I have it handy and keep it just in case, right? Just in case I see that dog, I'll have the information. So it's just a really good reminder to, have, collar on your dog with all the information, with your phone number, have them microchipped. I've said it before, I have like a little Apple tracker on Wanda's collar, so I could actually see where she is on my phone. And I think that's really helpful to have. Another thing is that I read years ago is if your dog runs away from you, don't chase it. Lay down. Lay down. The dog instinctively will just come over to you to find out, like, hey, what's wrong with my person here? Why are they laying on the ground? And they will, most of the time come to you. It was funny one day, Robert and I were walking in an alley with our dog, and a woman was running around trying to chase her dog, trying to grab the dog. And the more she did that, the more the dog just ran away. And I just yelled out, lay down, lay down. And she did. It was so funny. She just lay down and the dog came right over to her and she was able to grab the dog. So if that ever happens to you, just lay down. Most of the time your dog will come over to see what's going on. So, a couple of things here, a couple of funny things. I've been collecting little memes and little sayings on social media, and I like to share some of them with you. So here's one. Cleaning while you have a dog is like brushing your teeth with Oreos. Yeah, we're lucky. Our little rescue dog, Wanda, she's a Shih Tzu, so she doesn't shed. She has hair, but she needs to be groomed, so that's a trade-off, I think. Here we go. Here's a cartoon of two little dogs, and they're talking to each other, and they're outside. And the one dog says, he's calling me with all of my middle names. I better go. So I don't know about you, but I have little names that I call Wanda. And I've had names over the years for our other dogs. Like Pancho, my little Chihuahua Pancho. I used to call him Picky Poo. I don't know why, but I just called him Picky Poo and Pancho Poo. And Mickey was Mickey Mouse, Grouchy Boy. Wanda, I call Wanda my pup. Wanda's my pup. I just recently started calling her that. After she got a haircut, she looked really cute. And I guess she looked younger. I don't know, because I would be walking her and people would say, oh, what a cute puppy you have. And I'd be like, oh, she is a cute little puppy, right? But, yeah, so if the dog is being called by its middle name, it better get going. Here's a cute thing. It's dog domestication and cat domestication. So here's the dog's domestication. We changed form, size, and personality, lifestyle, instinct, our entire way of being. And you see the dog running from a wolf to a little puppy sitting in a dog bed in a house. And here is cat domestication. The cat's outside, the cat walks in the house, and it says, we went inside. So that's all that happened to the cats. They just went inside. They didn't have to do much, right? These cats. The best thing about dogs is that you can act like something really great just happened and they'll instantly start celebrating with you. They have no idea what context is. They're just always ready to party no matter what. And it is so funny if you act really excited. Your dog will just kind of jump around with you and they don't know what's going on. They're just happy to celebrate with you. Here's another one. Here's dogs, and they're on a tennis court. 2 dogs on each side, and the dogs, it says, how did we run out of balls again? And each dog has like 3 or 4 balls in their mouth. That's kind of cute. Here's another one, 2 dogs talking to each other. It says, are you a purebred dog like me? And then the other dog says, yes, my mom was a dog and my dad was a dog, so I'm pure dog. And that's what I love to see. Here's one. Here's a quote. We cannot have peace among men whose hearts find delight in killing any living creature. That was quoted by Rachel Carson, and she lived from 1907 to 1964. So I just wanted to look her up to see what she was about. So she was born May 27th, 1907, and she passed away April 14th, 1964. She was young. She was only 56 years old. But her career, she was a marine biologist, an environmentalist, and an author. And her education, she went to the Pennsylvania College for Women and MA Johns Hopkins University. So Rachel Carson was a marine biologist, environmentalist, and author who demonstrated to the world the impacts of using fertilizers and pesticides on the environment. So that way back in her day. So she was a woman of her time to talk about that. And we're still using fertilizers and pesticides today, and nothing has changed. And but she really had a wonderful impact on the environment and society. Here's a little meme with a picture. It's actually a picture that a husband took. He said, 1 hour after my wife saw a stray cat lying in our driveway, and there's a bed, there's an automatic feeding dispenser, and an automatic water dispenser. So I thought that was kind of cute. Let's see here. Here's, I don't know if you guys have seen photographs of dogs in the shelter, and they show the dogs after they've been rescued. So the faces of the dog, you can really see the smile on their face. But here's one that's kind of cute. A photographer took a picture of cats before and after. They called them beautiful. And it's the same exact face. The cat's face has not changed. So with that, Robert and Haley, back to you guys.
Hey, thanks, Wendy. You are listening to Native Roots Radio. If you have been listening to the show, you are part of our resistance. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, vote, and free Leonard Peltier now. We'll be back tomorrow.